My name is Louise and I'm a part of the sales and distribution team for Coral Expeditions. I'm coming to you live today from our head office in Cairns. I was meant to be joined by the lovely Jared and Alicia from Nomatosaurus, who just jumped off our Coral Geographer after spending 16 nights on board completing our West Papua, Raja Ampat and Micronesia itinerary. They are having some tech difficulties, so they aren't able to join us, but they have popped some comments into the chats for your reference. And if you want to jump on and have a look at their socials on Facebook, Instagram, and their website, it's just under Nomatosaurus. But yes, they've got some beautiful footage of their trip into Raja Ampat, which you can definitely refer back to for this itinerary as well, because they hit some of the same spots. I'd also just like to thank everyone for taking the time to join our Raja Ampat and Spice Islands webinar today. We will have an opportunity for questions at the end. Just pop them in the chat box at the top of your screen and we'll get to them at the end of the webinar. We are recording today's webinar and the recorded version will be sent around, and you're welcome to share that with your friends and family as well. So let's get into it. So starting with our Raja Ampat and Spice Islands itinerary, why is Raja Ampat such a must-see destination? The area is renowned for its stunning landscapes, its crystal clear waters and pristine beaches. The area is often described as paradise on earth, offering breathtaking views and serene environments. Raja Ampat is part of the Coral Triangle, which boasts the richest marine biodiversity on the planet. The journey itself is an adventure involving explorer trips between islands and exploring hidden lagoons and trekking through lush landscapes. Visiting these remote areas often involves supporting local conservation efforts, and the entry fees and ecotourism initiatives help preserve the delicate ecosystems and support sustainable tourism practices as well. Now, our itinerary is an 18-night itinerary, and it does depart both Darwin and Sarong. The following itinerary does show departing Darwin and arriving in Sarong, so for obviously the opposite direction, the itinerary will be in reverse. We will board at Darwin Fort Hill Wharf at about 6:30 a.m. for an 8 a.m. departure. Then in the afternoon, becoming acquainted with other like-minded travellers on board and the facilities as well. We do cruise northwards towards the Spice Islands. We do start our first day by crossing the Timor Sea, which is a full sea day. Our expedition team will be in the lounge for an insightful information session on Raja Ampat and the Spice Islands, as well as safety procedures and protocols while visiting Indonesia. Our guest lecturers on board as well will also do a bit of a lecture about some of the history and the local flora and fauna. Now, on this itinerary, we do have a charter flight included. We also offer visa assistance. As it is an international itinerary, we do have a doctor on board as well, and we are all-inclusive, so there'll be no hidden surprises at the end. So let's get into the itinerary. Our first stop in Spice Islands is Yamdina Island. Is a peaceful traditional village in the Tenenbaugh Island of Maluku, the centre of the ancient boat culture of Maluku. So here boats were built to symbolise the arrival from sea of the original inhabitants of the Maluku. The village is one of the few villages where the giant stone boats and the culture associated with it remains intact today. So in the afternoon, after having our lunch on board, we will take a coach ride from the port of Samlaki towards Sangledok. Passing through the fields and plantations, we'll be greeted by village elders, and then we'll be taken into the heart of the village where the village structure still follows the organisation of the original inhabitants. So the village head is seen as the captain or the master, steering the direction of the village. Many of the positions of the village basically translate to helmsman, harpooner, baler boy, and other boat-related titles. The next stop is the Bandanera Islands. They're lushly vegetated with tropical flora, while the Bandasea's underwater reefs are popular for scuba diving and snorkeling. This is one of the spots that our Nomatosaurus guys hit, so you will see beautiful pictures on their website and on their socials of this area. So our approach to Bandanera, as we approach Bandanera, we'll witness the outline of the Gunung Api volcano with its thin line of smoke often rising from the summit, while witnessing the photo-worthy Kora Kora canoes with their elaborately carved figureheads. We'll have a mixture of snorkeling, diving and exploring the streets of Bandanera on a guided tour and exploring Fort Belgica. On Malana Island, snorkelers can explore the shallow corals and clear waters with a range of different coral and fish species. Experienced divers may see an underwater cave that's connected to a well in the centre of the island, And those keen to explore above the water, the island still contains the ruins of a hospital built by the Dutch, whose construction was interrupted by the Japanese occupation in World War II. There's lots of history on this little island. There's also plenty of flora and fauna and wildlife. So you'll see things like the Pacific monitor lizard, scrub fowl, and those giant coconut crabs, which I'm really keen to see. Once we start heading east to the nearby Sapura Island, we are welcomed by singing school children, and then the men and the boys will give us their war dance with shields and swords as well. So this location is just really a massive cultural immersion, and yeah, lots of learning on this spot. So in the middle of the Banda Sea, Sawai village is on Saram Island, and it's one of the oldest villages in the Maluku Islands. So the village is in a beautiful setting with those simple homes built on stilts that sit over the ocean. We will spend the day in the crystal clear waters and snorkeling over the reefs. So this is our final stop in the Spice Islands as we make our way into that natural playground of Raja Ampat. Right, so Mosul. Our introduction to the beautiful Raja Ampat is in Mosul, one of the 4 largest islands. So Raja Ampat means 4 kings, which refers to 4 main islands. It's Wago, Batanta, Sulawesi, and Mosul. And this is a area comprising over 15,000 smaller islands. So at Mosul, we visit the Balbulo Lagoon, an almost landlocked inlet populated with conical-shaped inlets undercut at the sea level that rise from turquoise waters, and they look like giant Christmas trees. There is time to swim and kayak amongst the island in this beautiful lagoon. We also visit another spectacular waterway at Yapap, which is considered one of the best natural pools in the world, with turquoise waters and coral reefs on the seabed that are visible from the surface. So when we arrive at Kafau Island, we are welcomed by village dancers from their traditional boats before they lead us to Deer Village. We will have a local guide show us around their village before we board a local longboat, which takes us to Kampung Awat village, where we'll be greeted with a sassy traditional opening ceremony and enjoy a barbecue on the beach. So this day does sound like an incredible experience. Those longboats sound really fun. And then the next day, we're going to head into Waiag Island, which is also another spot that the Nomatosaurus guys hit. So as we explore the magnificent waterways and lagoons using our explorers and zodiacs, we'll have time to swim again in the crystal clear water, walk upon the white sand beaches amongst the many islands. And then after lunch, there is an opportunity for a hike up to the famed Pendido Peak, with hikers rewarded by panoramic views over the island and its spectacular lagoon, which was the first photo that we had in this webinar. Alternatively, though, you can choose to relax by swimming, snorkeling, kayaking, or a guided glass bottom boat tour, which would be really fun. So depending on the weather and conditions, today we'll either enjoy Rune Island or Auri Island. One of the highlights of Rune Island is the wreckage of a Japanese Zero fighter plane, which lies in shallow waters, and it's visible to snorkelers when the weather cooperates with us. The wreck has become a marine habitat and sports large corals and fish and big lionfish, surgeonfish, turtles, and heaps of other marine life. So that's a really spectacular spot if we can get there. To reach Auri Island, we will navigate through the picturesque island scenery before enjoying some beach activities and swimming and snorkeling in this beautiful location. So if you're into diving or snorkeling, this is definitely a trip for you. So then we go to Sendawahi, and this is one of the few places in the world where it's possible to swim with the endangered species. So there's no guarantee that whale sharks will appear on cue. If they do, we may have the chance to snorkel amongst them. Eyeballing these enormous fish, which are completely harmless, by the way, and grow to the lengths of a bus, is an experience that you will absolutely not forget. You'll remember it forever. We will then visit Quatisor village with local guides and learn about the West Papuan customs, cultures, and the traditional lifestyles of the people. You will notice a difference in dancing, adornments, and musical instruments of the West Papuan people in comparison to the customs and cultures of the earlier islands visited in Raja Ampat and Spice Islands. There is a bit of a difference. Then we head to Swandi Island, and this is an expeditionary stop for coral expeditions. It is part of the Yapen Island group in northeastern Indonesia. And here we'll have more time to visit the traditional fishing villages that are on stilts and explore the waterways and lagoons with time to swim and again snorkel and dive. And then on our final day before arriving in Sarong, we do visit the capital of West Papua. It is located right on the bird's head of the island in Papua, surrounded by lush rolling hills and nearby to the Ampat Mountains. There are over 24 different tribal groups living here, and each with its own unique language and culture. So on this day, our guests can choose from 3 expeditions. Those that are keen to, and have an interest in birding and wildlife, they might like to choose to travel into the mountains to the nature reserve and enjoy those rare opportunities of exploring the higher elevations in the misty tropical rainforest. Alternatively, you can choose to join a guided city tour of Menakauri and free time to explore the coastal town, or you can visit Mensinam Island, which is a religious island where guests can learn of the history and the significance of the island and participate in snorkeling and diving some World War II wrecks. So that brings us to the end of the itinerary. But how does Coral Expeditions ensure that you get there safely, comfortably, while having the most immersive experience possible? Well, we get you there both safely and comfortably on board our Coral Geographer. So she started operating in 2021. She is a purpose-built ship for expedition cruising, especially in subtropical climates. She has 60 staterooms with a maximum of 120 passengers, which keeps things nice and intimate. A shallow draft to access shallow bays and inlets, which the larger ships just cannot get to, with a range of lovely indoor and outdoor dining and seating areas to enjoy the views. So all rooms are outward facing. You'll never miss out on a view. She also carries 2 of our Explorers and 6 Zodiacs, as well as that a lift that goes right up to the Vista deck on the top. As I mentioned, she carries 2 of our Explorer tenders, which we like to call the Safari Jeeps of the Sea. Now, she has lots of different features to make our excursions extremely comfortable, especially if you might have slight mobility issues as well. So as you can see, the nose of the Explorer comes down. So when we do our beach, our wet landings, we call them, the nose comes down and it's just a ramp, which our expedition team will help guide you off gently. And as you can see, it has a roof which will protect you from the sun. It has seats with backs on them as well, so you're not sitting on those bench seats for hours at a time. Down around the sides of the ship, of the boat, we have clears. So if we do run into some rain or some wind, we can put those clears down and you still have that panoramic view, but you are protected from the weather and you are kept warm as well. On board, we also have a toilet as well for a remote convenience. There's also an audio, like a commentary system. So our expedition team and guest lecturers can perform commentary along the way and we don't have to stop and pull over so you can hear what we're saying. It is all over a microphone and speakers. So yes, super easy to access. As you can see here, it is on a hydraulic platform. So the Explorer tender will come down to our coral deck level, but you'll be able to board just over a simple walking ramp. So as in that little square picture on the left, you just simply walk across. Once everyone's seated in their seats, the Explorer gets lowered down and it's off in under 5 minutes. It's really amazing. There's no climbing in or out or uncomfortable steps to get into. So yes, very accessible. Now we do have our inflatable Zodiacs as well. They just provide another exciting and flexible option for shore excursions and navigating narrow inlets and waterways. They're also a really great way to get closer to nature. We do use the Zodiacs when possible. They always go side by side, our Explorers, so you're never in them for too long if you're uncomfortable. So in this image, you can see our guests out getting up close to nature in the Lasapine Islands on their way to Horizontal Falls. So that's pretty amazing. So our crew have safety and at the forefront of their minds. They've all been through extensive first aid training. And on board our international voyages, as I mentioned, we do have a doctor the entire time. So that can put your mind at ease as well. Our vessels are also operated by Australian and New Zealand crew, and you will get to experience the ultimate warm Australian hospitality throughout your voyage, all the way through to Indonesia and back. So we do encourage a natural Australian style service and an open interaction between our guests and our crew. You can watch your dinner being prepared with local ingredients by our chefs, as we have an open galley policy. Or you might like to go up to the bridge and have a chat and a morning coffee with the captain. You might like just to join our guest lecturers at meal times, or you might want to just simply sit back, relax, read a book and enjoy the views in one of our alfresco areas around the ship. Our expedition leaders and guest lecturers are on board and they take our guests on every single excursion. We do not hand over to land-based tour companies. Our team goes everywhere with our guests. We do focus on having more time ashore with 2 shore excursions daily where possible. The shore excursions generally have 2 options. There's always an option for everyone, and if you don't feel comfortable walking, you can stay on board the Explorers and do a coastal cruise. The expedition team will do a daily briefing, usually over sunset drinks, and give you an overview for what's on the agenda the following day. This is a really good opportunity to talk with the team and ask any questions that you may have about the next day's activities. The team are extremely knowledgeable and really immerse our guests into the experience. We are all inclusive, so once you're on board, you unpack once, you can enjoy your expedition and you don't have to worry about any hidden surprises at the end. So when I say everything, that's meals, your drinks during meal times, snorkeling equipment is there as well. Scuba diving is an additional cost. But some of the other highlights that I love to include the Wi-Fi. We have Wi-Fi included. We have Starlink on all of our ships. We've also got our expedition team who take photos on their gorgeous cameras. And then at the end of your trip, you'll get a Dropbox link with every single picture that they've taken. So if you're worried about your photography skills on this trip, I guarantee you'll have some beautiful photos at the end that you can share with your friends and family that are taken on really beautiful cameras. So that's also included in your fare. So we are the pioneers of expedition cruising. So for over 40 years, Coral Expeditions has operated with a single purpose, and that's to take small groups of like-minded explorers to remote places with our expert guidance and our warm Australian hospitality. So we are pros, and I guarantee you'll have an amazing time. Raja Ampat looks amazing. If anyone has any questions, feel free to pop them in the question box. Otherwise, you are welcome to contact our Explore team, our reservations team at explore@coralexpeditions.com, or give them a ring there, or contact your preferred travel agent. But thank you so much for joining me today. If you are going on the trip, you can have a great time. If you're thinking about it, this is your sign to do it. And yeah, thanks for joining. Enjoy the rest of your day.